I've spent some time color grading, and even though I still have a lot to learn, I wanted to share my process and the tools to help me get started. Hi, I'm Nick, and I'm a filmmaker and cinematographer. I work on short films, weddings, music videos, and ads. And I've always loved storytelling and all the elements that come together to make an image feel something. And in this video, we're focusing on color. So when I first started, I used a power grade called Cineprint, and it's made by this amazing, talented cinematographer named Tom Boyles. He created this super easy, straightforward power grade for anyone that's starting to go into color grading so that you can have all these amazing results with such ease. And for the longest time, this is what I've been using until recently. Dehancer was kind enough to let me use their plugin and test it out so that I can share it with you guys. If you want to check them out and support this channel, use the promo code Linadi for 10% off everything on the Dehancer website. They've got a lot of really cool tools, including the plugin we'll be going over in this video. There are two ways to use this plugin. So first things first is you want to make sure that your timeline color space and your output color space is set correctly for this plugin. For the timeline color space, I like to go with the DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate just because it gives me more of my image. And for the output color space, I tend to go with the Rec 709A just because I had it with the MacBook Pro, which I think the Rec 709A is more consistent with how it looks after the export. For the 3D lookup table interpolation, I go with tetrahedral. So for the first method, I like to add my own nodes to give me more flexibility. So as you can see, we're doing our color space transform sandwich. Since I'm shooting on a Sony a6700, my input color space is Sony S-Gamut 3.Cine and Sony S-Log3. And for the output color space, I have DaVinci Wide Gamut and Output Gamma DaVinci Intermediate. And for the CST out is when I bring the DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate into the Rec 709A. So let's enable those. As you can see, this is our image going from S-Log3 to Rec 709A. And then my next node is going to be exposure. You have your group pre-clip, clip, and group post-clip, and also timeline. So with clip, this is all the adjustments you're making to that specific clip. Group pre-clip is when you group different shots and you add nodes and adjustments. It happens before your clip adjustments, so like in the very beginning. And group post-clip is basically those adjustments going into effect after your clip adjustments. So with the exposure in my group post-clip, I'll be judging it off of the whole project. And in this case, I tend to just bring up the gamma and also the shadows and bring down the highlights a little bit, just for those shots that are blown out. And the next node we'll be adjusting is the white balance. I was shooting with manual white balance, so I was able to make sure that everything was accurate in terms of skin tones, like leaning more towards the greens. And next is contrast. I like to use the curves, and I use my waveforms just to see all the information of my image. For the curves, I tend to go with the more traditional S-curve, and this is where the fun happens. So as you can see, this is the Dehancer plugin on this node, and it has all of these incredible tools that you can adjust and fine-tune. This one is the input section, but since we did our own CST sandwich, I don't touch this. Next is the film. I tend to stick around the Kodak Visions, but for this project, Prokudin Gorski 1906 Experimental, the push and pull is for you to adjust how that film stock behaves. Film developer, this is where you add more contrast or do your gamma correction, because I feel like Dehancer desaturates the image a little bit, so I'm boosting it just to bring back those colors. This section is really cool as well. This is the film compression. So basically with shooting on film, if you've noticed, compared to digital cameras, an image starts to overexpose. They have this really smooth roll-off. With digital cameras, you don't get that. So with Dehancer, basically emulates film and how it compresses those highlights and makes that smooth roll-off. So it makes the image look really nice. The impact is basically how much your adjustments are in effect. Also adjust the tonal range and color density. This is all affecting the highlights primarily. And with the expand portion, this just brings back that contrast. With the print, there are a couple different selections. I tend to go with the Kodak 2383. The color head just allows more flexibility and control, just to be more specific with what parts of the image you're adjusting. And in Dehancer, you can also add film grain, halation, bloom, film damage, and even overscan. The next node I like to play with is the HSV. This is basically adding even more saturation to the image. So color space, HSV, and you want to make sure that only channel 2, so that you're only messing with the colors and not the luminance of the image. And you can just bring the slider, the gain slider, up and down to see how much color you want to add. And at the very end, I like to add a sharpen node. It starts at 0.5, but as you go lower, it adds sharpness, and as you go higher, it blurs the image. So I like to live around 0.48 or 47, just because I like to post on social media a lot, and posting there typically loses sharpness, so I just add a little bit more so that when it is uploaded, it's still sharp. So that is method 1 of using Dehancer to color grade your videos. Now we're moving on to method 2. And for that, I'm going to be opening a different project. A couple of months ago, I worked on a short film as a behind the scenes videographer for my friend Kevin, who's an amazing director. And I really love the shots that I got from that shoot. So we're gonna be putting that to the test with our Dehancer. But this time I'm doing it differently. Method 2. So in method 1, we did the conversion using DaVinci's color space transform. But in this method, we're using everything just within the Dehancer Pro plugin. With the input source, says choose camera. I was shooting with the Sony. There's also all the camera brands, any of them you can think of, like Nikon, DJI, Canon. And for the camera, I was using the A6700, shooting at S-Log S-Gamma3.Cine. This is where you can adjust the exposure, color temperature, tint, if you're going for more of a greens or magenta kind of look. And this is where you pick your film stock. And for this project, I went with the Kodak Vision 3 250D. Film developer, adjust your contrast, adding some more color back into the image. Film compression, making sure we get that smooth roll off. Expand, bringing back those black and white points of the image, just to make sure that the image stays punchy. And for the print for this one, I went with the Kodak Endura glossy paper instead. And with this project, was shot entirely on real film. Like they used like this vintage film camera, which was super cool because I feel like nowadays everyone just shoots on digital just because it's cheaper and easier. So I want to edit this BTS video in that regards. So we're definitely adding the film grain, halation. You can also pick different presets, bloom, just to add those bloom in the highlights, as you can see in that lamppost. Film damage as well. Definitely the overscan, giving it a super 35 kind of look. But literally that simple. You just need one plugin, one node, and you take your image from being flat straight out of the camera into something cinematic. But I'll also be putting links in the description for videos that I've watched these creators putting out content that's educational, way more detailed than this one is. Really help me with the process of starting color grading and getting into that whole world. But yeah, that's all for me. Thank you again, Dehancer, for letting me use the plugin and testing it out. It's super simple, powerful, gets the job done, and make images beautiful and cinematic. So everyone definitely check them out. Link in the description. Promo code Linadi, 10% off. Doesn't get any better than that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned for more coming your way this year, 2026. Bye.